leaders being questioned by the ED. The TMC, of course, did not even sign the letter. But can the Congress actually claim to be the fulcrum of the opposition? Not if the numbers are anything to go by. The party had only a 12% strike rate in the 2019 general elections. The Congress's vote share in the 2019 general election was under 20%. In a direct contest with the BJP, the Congress won only 8% of the seats in the 2019 election. So 180 plus seats were Congress-BJP fights, and the Congress managed to win less than 20. In the last 8 assembly elections, the Congress has lost 141 seats, including the 3 in the Northeast that happened recently. The Congress does not have a Rajya Sabha MP in 14 states. And the Congress has also registered its worst ever performance in Gujarat just in December of last year. We've got a power-packed panel tonight. Joining us on BrassTacks here in our studio, Shehzad Poonawala, spokesperson of the BJP, Priyanka Chaturvedi, Shiv Sena Member of Parliament, Dr. Ajay Kumar is Congress Party spokesperson, and Rajat Sethi, political analyst, joining us. Let me start with you, Shehzad. The basic contention of the opposition is that why should Rahul Gandhi apologize? And even if he has said something that is objectionable on foreign soil, should that be something that should hold up Parliament? You've wasted 3 days. Ruling party members have obstructed the business of the House. It's more than 30 crores of loss to the exchequer these last 3 days. Why should the people of this country put up with it?
Zaka, it's not just about saying something objectionable about the government or about any institution. It is in fact demanding foreign intervention. And here's a News 18 report. It's the serial offender Rahul Gandhi who not only demanded Europe and US intervention in our democracy, but earlier too. And I'm reading from the News 18 report. Rahul slammed for demanding foreign intervention in Indian democracy with Nicholas Burns, and I have the videotape of the video clip of that. I can play it whenever the honourable guests want it. In that, he has openly said that the US establishment must intervene. Earlier, Manishankar Iyer has also demanded that Pakistan should intervene. This habit of allowing foreigners to intervene in our internal affairs is an affront to our national sovereignty. You remember when the George Soros issue happened, at that time, to Praveen Chakravarti and some leaders of the Congress, including Mr. Tharoor, who considers Soros as his great friend, were okay with George Soros intervening. I have no problem with Ajay Kumar and Priyanka Chaturvedi saying that this is right, this is wrong. They can perhaps even do it on foreign soil. But when you draw the line, it has to be drawn at the fact that we won't allow interference of a foreign power in our affairs, and that too at a time of 75 years of independence, at a time when Britain is being led ironically by a person of Indian origin. You want a country that ruled us to give us lectures on democracy? That is my only point. I am asking a specific point. I'm not even going into statements of the past, because I know Ajay Kumar will say PM said this, PM said that. I am saying, can we have foreign intervention in our affairs? I have the clip with Nicholas Burns.
So let me ask Priyanka Chaturvedi. I'll come to the foreign intervention part in a second, but today we had 18 opposition parties, including your party, walking or trying to walk to the ED office. My question is, ma'am, if this is an issue that unites the entire opposition, why was the TMC, which is a substantially big regional party, the BRS, another big regional party, they were not, part of this march to the office? And I'm told by my reporters that even the NCP did not send a representative. I don't know if that was, a mere coincidence or whether that happened by design.
They did not sign to.
But I believe that the NCP did not have a representative today to march to the ED office. So where is the question of opposition unity on this issue? I mean, you're saying that ED and IT, etc. are being used against you guys, not against the BJP. Why aren't all of you on the same page on this?
Okay, so firstly, I don't know where you have this information of BRS not being a part of it. BRS and their MPs were very much part of that walk, that march. They signed the letter, they were very much a part of it, and I say it with confidence because I was a part of it too, and I saw them participate proactively, very actively. As far as NCP is concerned, they have been inside the Parliament in total support of their unnecessary action and the attack of the ED and central agencies on opposition leaders. We are seeing that happen in Maharashtra with their own leaders. Mr. Anil Deshmukh was behind bars. We've seen a lot of their leaders even being questioned right now, including Hassan Mushrif ji. So there are many, so they have been totally in support. As far as TMC is concerned, TMC's demand has also been the same. Just because they're not part of the march does not mean they're united in the support of seeking accountability from the government of the day. So, this charge of, oh, y'all are not on the same page is actually an incorrect charge to make. And having said that, I must tell you, we also, when we come to the Parliament, we want the Parliament to function. But it is unfortunate that we have seen over the past 3 days belligerence coming from the Treasury benches, where Treasury bench MPs are screaming, shouting, coming to the well of the House, rushing to the well of the House. At least I'm talking about the scenes in the Rajya Sabha, and forcing an adjournment. So if this is the idea that they have, that they don't want to be held accountable with regards to the entire Adani revelations, they do not want to be held accountable about ED investigations, about ED specifically targeting opposition leaders. They don't want to be held accountable for, various other issues such as price rise. I come from the state of Maharashtra. We are seeing that farmers are left with nothing to do but having to sell off their onion, produce, because they're not getting a minimum support price from the state government or centre even caring about allowing onions to be exported. We have 18 lakh state government workers who are on a strike. Again, they are demanding for an old pension scheme. No discussion. Because as soon as the business hours begin, we have the leader of the house coming and starting to talk about some apology, which does not concern the. And
I want to be very specific tonight.
Asking some other country to intervene.
Before I go to Dr. Ajay Kumar, I want to ask you, Priyanka Chaturvedi, on this issue of apology by Rahul Gandhi. Again, the opposition is not on the same page. I've not seen the BRS or the TMC or the Aam Aadmi Party coming out and saying... No, one second. Can I finish my question, please? Give me 10 seconds. I haven't seen these parties come out and say there is nothing that Mr. Gandhi needs to apologize for. I have seen Sharad Pawar, your ally in Maharashtra, come out and say that. I have not. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you can correct me. But I have not seen anybody from your party either come out and say the same.
Simply because if we are going to be responding to every member of parliament travelling abroad and saying something, and it becoming so relevant to our nation and which leads to blockage of parliament, I think is a ridiculous thing to do.
Okay.
Right now, the nation has many important issues to discuss. And is my nation so weak that someone saying, oh, we want intervention, would a foreign minister like Jaishankar allow intervention to happen? Who's trading off charges about getting oil from Russia and our trade relations with Russia will allow foreign intervention to happen because one member of parliament has said something like that which he actually hasn't said.
Okay.
So what are we even discussing?
Okay. Let me go to Dr. Ajay Kumar. Now, I know the Congress's contention has been that Mr. Gandhi never asked for foreign intervention. Be that as it may, I'm willing to sort of, buy your argument at face value for a moment. The point, though, is, Dr. Kumar, is Rahul Gandhi has not attended Parliament for the last 3 days. He or the comments that he raised has been the singular issue holding up Parliament for the last 3 days. Like I said, more than 30 crores of taxpayer money has gone down the drain because of this one issue, whether he should apologize or not. Why isn't he even there when this is the issue that's consuming Parliament and this is the issue that's consuming the nation?
So, few things. Zaka, you're so aggrieved with 30 crores loss. I think there's some 10 lakh crores was lost by Mr. Adani through the multiple companies and all that, and that doesn't seem to disturb you.
No, one second.
30 crore
Dr.
loss
Kumar,
seems
I
to
don't
be
intervene.
so
I don't
grievous.
intervene.
No, one second,
I just want to be very clear. The 10 lakh crores. One second. The 10 lakh crores. A very, very small portion of it, I think 1 or 2%. Is public money. The rest of it is between Mr. Adani and his group of companies and his shareholders and investors. It is not public money. Just clarification.
Zaka, one sec.
Go ahead.
Clarity to you. Clarity to you.
Go ahead.
No, let me. One sec. Zaka. I get very upset if the uncle starts trolling us.
No, I'm not trolling you.
One sec.
I have great respect for you. Go on.
Can I complete, sir? Shehzad Poonawala spoke. Please give me the dignity, the respect to complete.
Absolutely, go ahead.
If LIC's money,
Absolutely.
If LIC's thousands of crores go down, it's not public money according to you. Perfectly okay. This 30 crores seems to be so. The whole debate on 30 crores and thousands of crores LIC money, but it doesn't affect my very mature and intelligent anchor. It definitely offends me. Second issue is Namaste Trump was not foreign intervention. Ab ki baar Modi Sarkar was not an intervention. You go to foreign soil and propagate some other government. He comes to India and propagates some government. You not aggrieved at all. It is remarkable. Third issue. The most important is Mr. Poonawala. I'm not going to say that our foreign minister says that the Chinese as a bigger economy, how can we fight with them? That doesn't offend anyone in this country. Doesn't offend you. There is no debate on that at all. The whole foreign minister of this country says that we are weaker than China, and then there is no discussion. That is not offensive at all. So simply fantastic. Fourth issue, has Mr. Modi attended Parliament? Has Mr. Modi done press conferences? We don't bother about it. Fifth issue, opposition unity. 18 parties walked, you don't see unity. According, and Priyanka ji was correct. One attended, so let's imagine the TMC didn't. That seems to flutter everybody. So my question, Zaka, is that when we come into a debate and we come with a sense of fairness, the basic question I want to ask you is, money 30 crores is a joke in front of what is Adani doing? Is Adani issue important for this country? It is important. Today's LRA capital with the defense industries. You are compromising the defense of India. With a company, you're threatening India. No debate.
Okay.
Who is going to answer this question?
Fair
False
enough.
shell companies of thousands of crores.
Fair enough.
We get to know Ambuja Cement is not Adani company. We know the Adani ka company.
Okay.
No debate.
Fair enough.
So what is happening in this country?
Qualms.
So what Priyanka ji,
I have no
so
qualms with anything that you said, except...
Please have debates. You should have qualms of having debates.
One small clarification. I'll get Shehzad to respond,
Yes,
and I'll go to Rajat Sethi after this. Of the 10 lakh crore lost to the investors and the shareholders of Adani,
Please.
as has been said by the SBI chairperson and the LIC chairperson, they are 1%, 1%, 2%
But
exposure.
can I-
One second, please.
Zaka,
all of you are
I'm
very,
sorry,
very
please,
respected.
I should clarify
One
Zaka,
second,
you will
ma'am,
Zaka, your
ma'am, one
reputation
second,
will be
Dr.
thrown
Kumar,
to
one
tatters
second.
if you
I'm
defend
sorry.
Please allow me, please
Okay,
allow
go
me.
ahead,
Please
go
allow
ahead.
me 10 seconds. There was
All
a
right.
10 lakh crore loss. No one is denying that. My very, very limited point, it's a very factual point. Out of that 10 lakh crores, 1% was LIC's exposure and another 1% was SBI's exposure. The remaining
7%.
98%
Can I answer that?
is
No, so
between
Zaka, so-
Mr. Adani and his group of companies and
so
their
one sec.
respective
So Zaka,
investors
so
and
Zaka,
shareholders.
one sec.
That's
So
it,
hold
full
it. No,
stop.
Zaka,
That's
you need to
my
hold it. No,
very
you-
limited
you-
point.
so
I
you're
am not
limited-
saying
no,
it's a
Zaka.
trivial issue. I'm not saying it's
Zaka,
a not
Zaka,
important
one sec,
issue.
one sec.
I'm not saying that an investigation should happen. By the way, there is an investigation by no less than the Supreme Court.
But
All I'm
but
saying
Zaka.
is to say that is
So
public
indulge me,
money
Zaka,
is
indulge
erroneous.
me,
That's
indulge
it.
me for
Okay.
5 seconds.
Let
Zaka,
me
just indulge me for
get
5 seconds.
Shehzad to
No,
respond, and
indulge
Rajat has
me
been
for 5
waiting.
seconds.
Can I-
Dr.
Five
Kumar,
seconds.
Dr. Kumar, please,
Can
please
I
yield.
advise
Look,
you?
Please
Can I-
yield,
for
please
5
yield,
seconds.
please yield, please.
5 seconds.
30
Just
seconds,
5
30
seconds.
seconds.
5
Let
seconds.
Shehzad respond, and then after that, Rajat. Yeah.
Zaka, there is a member of parliament and a former member of parliament. So let us have a civilized discussion, and
Yeah.
I'm sure they will also like to
I
hear
would
what my
appreciate that,
point
yes.
is. Yeah.
Thank you.
And I won't interrupt them. Look, let me address one issue at a time. The Supreme Court monitored probe happened when a Congress leader named Jaya Thakur from Madhya Pradesh Congress went and approached the court. If you did not trust the Supreme Court, अभी Supreme Court पे भरोसा नहीं बचा, तो नहीं भेजते उनको ये PIL डालने के लिए. And secondly, let me tell you, today I am very happy, Zaka, with their march. They are saying ED should go and probe. Do you know ED has been vindicated today? Till yesterday, ED was compromised. ED was working under political instructions. Today, they believe ED so much that they don't want Supreme Court panel probe. They want ED probe in Adani matter. So what more
JPC.
better for ED than endorsement by Congress
JP.
party and Uddhav Thackeray Sena? But let me come to a more serious point. Look, Madam Priyanka Chaturvedi would know that people like Nawab Malik are kept in jail not because of ED and CBI, because court has said he has relations with Dawood. Sonia Gandhi's case started under the UPA by a court order, and Supreme Court did not give relief. Satyendra Jain is in jail for 9 months because of court. Mr. Manish Sisodia did not get relief from the highest court. Our courts also compromised. And finally, I just have a couple of points to make. Look, first of all, Rahul Gandhi compared India with Ukraine. So let's not get into who's weaker, who's stronger. But Ajay Kumarji, I am sure you believe me when I say, and I have the entire clip of 1 minute. If Zaka, you give me 1 minute, I will.
well,
so then let me just tell you what he
yeah,
said.
Just paraphrase.
Yeah,
Thank
paraphrasing
you.
it, and I can play it if Ajay Kumar wants it. Rahul Gandhi tells
Play it
the
for me,
US,
Shehzad Poonawalla. Play it for me
Mr.
later.
Mr. Ajay Kumar, I never interrupt you. I have so much regard for
I
you.
said play for me later, Mr. Poonawalla.
Yeah, fair enough. He'll send it to you on Twitter, on DM.
I am
Go
okay,
ahead.
Zaka, if you
Because
accept time of
since he
it.
seems to be much more junior to me in IQ,
Okay,
because he made a very
okay,
unsavory
Dr.
comment
Look,
yesterday.
let's do it this way.
I need
Dr.
to,
Saab,
Mr.
Dr. Saab,
You have
Poonawalla,
wasted more
let's
time
do
than
it.
I wanted to
you know. This
respond
is
that
his
your
regular.
IQ is
Let him
much
finish.
more
Such a
Let him
senior
finish.
person.
my
who is
Yeah.
like this.
Okay, let him finish. Yeah.
Arey,
Yeah,
yeah, senior
Shehzad, quickly,
person, you
please.
have no
Shehzad, yeah.
How
Mr.
do I
Poonawalla,
speak?
I
Quickly,
was
don't
retorting to
play the
yesterday's
clip. Just paraphrase
bad behavior.
quickly what has been said in this clip. Yeah.
In his interview with Nicholas Byrne,
Yes.
he said that I am shocked that United States, which is such a great idea of democracy, and the US establishment is not doing anything with what is happening in India.
Okay.
I want to ask every self-respecting Indian, and I believe that the son of Babasaheb Thackeray is a self-respecting Indian. Priyanka Chaturvedi, no matter how many differences we may have, We don't complain about our father to our padosi. I appeal to Babasaheb Thackerayji's son's party that can you please tell me that do you tolerate this intervention, and I can play the clip for you.
Okay.
I will send it to you.
We won't play that clip. Rajat has been waiting patiently, so I want to go to Rajat first, and then I'll come back to both Dr. Ajay Kumar and Priyanka Chaturvedi for a fair rebuttal. But Rajat, first things first, I think the opposition has a point in what they say, that the agencies, ED, IT, CBI, etc., are all being used against opposition leaders. From Manish Sisodia to Satyendra Jain, to Sanjay Raut, to Abhishek Banerjee. I mean, I can't think of one BJP leader of any fame and consequence or any name and consequence who has been investigated by any of these agencies. Somehow, it's like one of those elderly politicians said, BJP में घुस गए तो washing machine के अंदर आप चले गए. You've gone through a laundromat. आप सब भ्रष्टाचार के charges आपके खिलाफ नहीं होगा if you join the BJP. Isn't that a fair argument that they are making?
I mean, I think that should be a question that should be directed to the ED spokesperson. He or she should come out and say that these are the accusations. Why is it false? What is the status with the old complaints against the BJP leadership, which was made during the UPA times? You know, this ping pong of accusations between the Congress and its set of allies on one side and the BJP on the other side, it's all going to carry on. I can go on and give you examples of what is happening in Telangana. Okay, what the kind of complaints that are filed by the police in West Bengal, the same accusation even BJP can levy. These are political accusations. If the opposition leaders have not committed any crime, then they would be coming out of this process like Phoenix. There is no two doubts about it.
But it can't be a one-way street, is what they're saying.
You know what? Yeah, let me complete my point. What we saw in West Bengal was these wades and wades of notes, 50 crores coming out of a sitting minister of the government. What else are we supposed to believe? Anywhere where the opposition leaders are in power, you are seeing there are live proofs of it, that there are cash. And so is the case with BJP also. It's not like the Lokayukta of Karnataka did not go after BJP just because, a BJP party is in power over there or in the center. They did go after that. Where have we seen a counter example, say in Maharashtra when NCP and all of these people were in power? Did they go after any Congress leader or NCP leader who were trapped in similar corrupt practices? No. See, the bigger moot point here is, which you raised, that should Adani be discussed in the parliament, or should what belatedly Priyanka was also saying, that why should one member of parliament and what he said in Cambridge hold the entire parliament into hostage? The moot point is, Rahul Gandhi, if he genuinely felt that Adani issue was one issue that every Indian should be concerned about, then he should not have booked his ticket and gone to Cambridge. He should have booked his ticket and gone to Mumbai, Ahmedabad, and started speaking to every single, conscientious citizen of the country.
Let me ask Priyanka Chaturvedi the point that Shehzad made, that would Balasaheb Thackeray, if he were alive, tolerated an Indian politician, let alone a politician with whose party you are in an alliance with, go to England and say, the defenders of democracy, or the so-called protectors of democracy, United States and Europe, are not saying anything against what is happening in India? Would that be something that you would brook, or let's say he would have brooked?
I would respond to that very clearly. Balasaheb Thackerayji would be equally enraged with the Prime Minister of this country going to China and saying that Indians would curse their birth. The Prime Minister of my country going to various other nations and saying that it was a curse to be born in India. It was, and again, we are comparing a member of parliament who's called for his experience in Bharat Jodo Yatra to various colleges, and he's talking about his experiences, versus my elected Prime Minister. Even if I have not voted for him, he is my country's Prime Minister, going and belittling my nation across the length and breadth of the world. So don't give me this, okay, what would he have said? I'm telling you what he would have said. So secondly, to the point of, Mr. Sethi was saying, when Congress and NCP and Shiv Sena were in power, why didn't they go after the big guns? I'll tell you, BJP as an opposition was going after the big guns. Mr. Kirit Somaiya was going after Yashwant Jadhav over money laundering, Pratap Sarnayak over bribes, Bhavna Gowli over money laundering charges and assets, wrongful creation of assets, Arjun Khotkar over land grab scam. Can I tell you what happened to that, Mr. Sethi? As soon as they joined the Bharatiya Janata Party, it has come to an end. As latest as 2022 January, charges were being made. But they have washed all the sins away. And let me also tell you something about Nawab Malik and Daud connection. Mr. Narayan Rane, who happens to be a minister of the Bharatiya Janata Party, has gone on to say that if Daud also chooses to join the BJP, all his sins will be washed off. So you all are willing to do a deal with Daud to be able to strengthen your political, discourse. Just goes to show the level of bankruptcy that the Bharatiya Janata Party has reached, because they have no answers to give as far as the corruption, crony capitalism is concerned, and corruption of using agencies is concerned.
One second. Let me bring it. One second, Rajat, one second. Dr. Ajay Kumar.
And also one last statement.
Yeah,
Sorry, Mr.
quickly,
Jacob,
ma'am.
Mr.
10
Jacob,
seconds, quickly,
one last thing.
Yeah, 10 seconds.
And considering you asked me a question specifically about Bala Sahib Thackeray ji. Bala Sahib Thackeray ji would have slammed the Prime Minister for going uninvited to Pakistan to have a plate of biryani and spend time with the Prime Minister of Pakistan and send sari and shawl.
Give me 30 seconds. I want to ask Dr. Ajay Kumar one second. I want to ask Dr. Ajay Kumar. Dr. Ajay Kumar, on the Adani issue, over which this entire last 3 days of the budget session have been curtailed, have been sort of washed out, there is a Supreme Court monitored committee that's probing into it. SEBI has ordered a probe into it. There are other agencies that are involved in probes into it. Now, my point, one second. My point is, are you saying to the people of this country that a joint parliamentary committee is more capable at investigating this issue than the Supreme Court of India? I mean, the Supreme Court is looking at it.
Let me answer that. So now that you asked, first question. Whenever there has been a scam, historically, Harshad Mehta, everything else, there's been a joint parliamentary committee. The Supreme Court of India is not who is better, who is not better. The process is that of great financial. If the Parliament of India is sovereign, according to you and me and everybody else, then the joint parliamentary committees are the most sovereign. But I was surprised by Mr. Sethi's point. Amazing that he suddenly taken credit for Lok Ayog. 8 crores of cash was found, 40 crores with the son of the MLA of BJP, no action. 40% ATM, no action. In Adani's case, by the way, you said 99% is held by the company. That itself is a crime. You're experienced journalist, 75% beyond, you can't have share. How is a public listed company, publicly traded company more than 75%? And on a national TV, when you guys say 99%, only 1%, I'm shocked. That itself is a fraud.
No, Dr. Kumar. Please don't misquote me. Please don't misquote me.
So you fix that.
Sir, one second. I want to clarify this once again.
You please don't troll me.
No, I'm not trolling you. I'm not trolling you. My request to you is the same thing. You don't misquote and troll me. I did not say that. All I said, and I'm saying this again for the benefit of our viewers, is that yes, I'm not belittling or I'm not trivializing. I'm not saying the Adani issue is a small matter. But there is only 2% exposure to public companies or public sort of holding of Adani, right? The rest of the 98% is between him, his companies, and
I can't imagine what you're saying on a national
TV. One second, please. I believe, Dr. Kumar, we can have a civilized conversation on this.
So
to say that the investors of a company and public money, which is LIC money or SBI money, can be equated or are the same, I think that's erroneous. Let's agree on that basic
It's a false
fact.
It's a false premise.
Mr. Sethi, let me complete.
Okay, go ahead. Let me finish and I'll come back to you.
Mr. Sethi,
30 seconds. Dr. Kumar, go on. Make your more substantive points.
Then Mr. Sethi says, where is Rahul Gandhi? Where was in the last session when he spoke on Adani? Where was Mr. Sethi when he spoke on Adani? Was there a reply on Adani when Mr. Gandhi spoke? When he speaks, you don't respond. He did a discussion on it and you trivialize it and say Where is he now?
Sir,
I can
Mr.
ask you, where is the
Gandhi
Prime Minister? How many
spoke for
days?
47 minutes
I have the right
Exactly.
in
Shaka,
Parliament.
I have the right
There
to
were no
reply.
interruptions.
Yeah, you can't have the
There
Parliament because
might
I'm
have been
still speaking,
interruptions,
Mr.
but
Sethi.
the
Mics won't
entire
switch off.
speech
No,
was
but one
carried
sec.
not only on
I know,
Lok Sabha TV, but it was carried
Yeah,
across
Zaka,
news
Zaka,
channels.
you're interrupting
Nobody
me.
stopped
Zaka,
him
you're
from
interrupting.
saying
Boss,
whatever
you're
he
a good
wanted to
anchor.
say.
Why are you interrupting me, boss?
Sir, I'm
Yeah,
not
let me
interrupting
complete.
you.
No, Zaka,
You
this
are,
will be
yeah,
unfair.
Okay.
no,
Now
second
let's
issue.
move on.
Okay.
Hemant Biswas sir,
Sure,
no,
sure,
no,
Ajoy
no,
Kumar is
one
genuinely
second.
upset.
Let me
Mr.
ask
Sethi, I'm
a
still speaking.
fundamental question.
There are
One
5
second.
points
Let me
from
ask a
Priyanka ji
fundamental
also
Hemant
which
question.
I have
Biswas
to answer.
Sharma,
Sir,
Hemant Biswas Sharma,
sir,
Mukul Roy
please.
के washing
Let's
machine
have
है
a
क्या?
civilized one by one
Where
conversation.
was
Not
I?
this tu
So
mein.
can you
Please,
give
let's
the dignity for
Shehzad,
me
I'm
to
asking
complete,
you a
Sir,
very
where was
simple
I?
question.
Hemant Biswas Sharma,
Why
Hemant
is the
Biswas Sharma,
government so reluctant to
The
order a
question
JPC?
has been
on
speaking as to
2G,
where
on
was
2G
I?
you ordered a
I have the right-
JPC. On other scams that have happened, you've ordered a JPC. Why are you so reluctant to order a JPC? You order a JPC, tomorrow Parliament will function.
Okay, so Zaka, let me address this and then few points that Priyanka ji raised, and I'll answer this question to begin with. On a JPC, by the way, parliamentary rules dictate that any matter which is in front of a court can't become a subject matter of Parliament. That's separation of powers. That's 101 Constitution. Everyone should know this. In the matters that Mr. Ajoy Kumar referred to, there was no Supreme Court ongoing probe. Therefore, the JPC could be valid. And these people are the ones who in 2010 said that JPC is an utterly useless parliamentary vehicle. This is the on-record statement of Pawan Bansal. Today, they've turned around and there is a Supreme Court ongoing probe. I can imagine if there was no probe and then they demanded a JPC. So point one.
Shehzad, once again, I don't
But
think
let
that's
me
quite,
give-
no, I don't think that's quite accurate. In the 2G case, for example, the JPC and a court-monitored probe, both were happening parallelly.
Let me explain to you the difference. The subtle difference there was that in the Supreme Court, today you have a panel which has been constituted. Unless you don't have faith in that panel or you think that technically competent is the JPC, a bunch of 30 politicians who can investigate, then that is another issue. And thirdly, please let me
Zaka, I
complete.
need 30 seconds.
I will. Let
The
him finish.
Honourable
Let him
MP
finish.
has to wait.
30 seconds.
This
30
is how
seconds,
democracies
let him finish
work.
and I'll come back to you. Yeah.
Commoners and MPs have the same right in this country.
Boliye.
Right? Yeah.
On CNN News 18, everybody is the same.
I am
Don't worry.
eternally
It doesn't
grateful
matter.
to Zaka.
Boliye.
I am eternally
How did I
grateful
ask
that
for special
we lesser
privilege?
mortals also can
Yeah.
speak.
Zaka, you're letting him
Now
speak,
she is
yeah?
continuing.
No,
with
no.
her
I will. Unlike in the Houses of Parliament, I give all my guests an equal chance to speak.
But
So
let me articulate very
go
quickly.
on.
I
Yeah, go
answered
on.
your
Yeah.
point. Now let me answer 3-4 points. Madam Parliamentarian quoted statement of Prime Minister made on some foreign soil. At that time, Uddhav ji had an alliance with us. And not a single statement from son of Barasaheb Thackeray, Uddhav ji, has come on that statement, which means even he agreed with that statement at that time. Today, Priyanka ji, who was then in the Congress, now in the Uddhav Sena, can have a view on it. But we are talking about intervention of a foreign power, not about certain situation that exists in the
But the
country.
Congress is saying he never asked for intervention.
Zaka, I can play that clip. Give me 1 minute time. I'll play that clip.
No, I won't play.
So,
he basically
Zaka,
said
in this,
defenders of
Zaka, you are
democracy.
wasting more time. Let me
One second,
complete my
10
point.
seconds. The Congress is saying Mr. Gandhi never asked for intervention.
Zaka,
defenders of democracy are not saying anything.
You are going by him or you are going by facts?
I'm going by what he said. It's what he said.
I'm giving you a fact.
It's there in the
Zaka,
public domain.
Let me please,
go on.
just let me have 30 seconds before somebody intervenes. I am putting one C now. This has started.
No. 1 second. Yeah, you speak. 30 seconds.
Zaka, when I come to a debate, please ask your people to pan here. I get all the statements and the reports and the videos to play. I substantiate whatever I say with facts.
Go on.
Is that my credibility?
Go on.
I am saying I'm ready to play Rahul Gandhi's clip. You are saying there's not enough time.
There's not enough time. Yeah, go on.
So he has demanded it. And Mr. Manishankar Iyer went and said, I want Pakistani aid to remove Modi. Have you forgotten that? But that is not the point. The point I'm trying to make is now this. Madam Parliamentarian said that action on Pratap Sarnaik has been stopped. Zaka, please see this. And I asked people to zoom. In fact, the Mumbai police under them had given a closure in the Tops Group case. But the ED went and said in the Bombay High Court that we take a stand against this closing of the case. I'm not lying. Vidya from India Today Group has reported this. Your reporters also reported it. Apart from that, you said that which ED, has ED ever taken action on BJP leaders? Here, sir. Please read this headline, sir. 2021 report I'm showing you. ED attaches 2.7 crore worth assets of Surat BJP leader. Please see. If I lie, I will...
What's his name?
His name is PVS Sharma. All right.
I look honestly. I don't know who
Zaka,
PVS
is
Sharma
that my
is.
fault?
I'm sure you don't know who PVS
Let me
Sharma is.
make my
But that's
larger
fine.
point before
That's
they
fine.
intervene.
Okay. Let me
just 10 seconds. 10 seconds.
You've spoken enough.
Zaka,
You've spoken enough. Rajat has been waiting. He needs to
10 seconds I
respond.
will finish.
Okay,
Zaka,
10 seconds. Quickly, please.
Zaka, 10 seconds I will
quickly,
finish.
yes. Quickly.
The point I'm making is that all of the ED actions, by the way, have been substantiated by a court of law. Ajay Kumar's party says, very good for Satyendra Satinder Jain and Manish Sisodia, how come action on them becomes debt to democracy?
Okay.
And I am
All
only
right.
asking this last point, that Bhai Sahab, intervention is different from making a comment on some issues in your country. Intervention was sought by Rahul Gandhi from US establishment, yet Bala Saheb Thakereji's son's party is unable to take a stand.
Rajat first, then Priyanka Chaturvedi, and then Dr.
No,
Ajay Kumar.
Alsaka, I would want to say
Yeah,
something.
I'll come to you, ma'am. Give Rajat 30
Alsaka,
seconds, please. 30 seconds.
You know,
yeah.
I've just
Thank you.
spoken once. Please give me
Yeah,
few
Rajat,
seconds.
yeah.
On the JPC issue, you know, had an Indian agency, Indian investigative agency, or SEBI kind of an agency come out with a primary report wherein they found certain accusatory elements and substantiated, like it was in 2G case, wherein India's own agency, credible agency, independent agency, CAG had come out with a report, and henceforth the JPC followed. Let the primary thing be established here, and then I'm pretty sure JPC, if allowed, if there is reasonable doubt, JPC should be a fair demand. But at least let the initial sort of report come out on this. That's point number one. Point number two, on the accusation that Dr. Ajoy was making here. You know what sinister, diabolical statement that Rahul Gandhi was trying to make in the Cambridge issue, and your audience need to really remember this. How sinister could it be? He said that the lights are out. It is darkness in India. What are you going to do? It is as simple as that. Are we supposed to say that Rahul Gandhi is going to sign an accession, and then we are going to believe that he is asking for external intervention?
So can I answer
This
that?
is
Can I answer that?
Rajat, it could well be a
Can I
metaphor.
answer that?
mean, it could well be a metaphor.
at
But
the
anyway,
leeway.
one second. Priyanka
God. I need
Chaturvedi,
to answer that.
one
To speak
second,
here.
1 second. Gentlemen, please yield. Priyanka Chaturvedi and then Dr. Ajay Kumar to close out. Yeah, I've got to wrap up. Yeah.
You know, so firstly, let me clarify. I wasn't asking for any special privileges from a commoner or me being a member of parliament. All I said was allow me some chance to be able to rebut what he's saying. Secondly, he's repeatedly calling me Madam MP, Madam MP. I find that very distasteful because you know my name, Shehzad. I wouldn't call you, hey BJP spokesperson, hey BJP spokesperson. So let's have the dignity of a discussion.
But
all
what
right.
is offensive in Madam
Third part.
Parliamentarian?
With regards to JPC,
Okay.
now Samna, no, I would
Okay.
prefer my name. You can call me by
Yeah,
my name.
substantive. Yeah.
I've,
You know,
Let's
all
get to
right,
sometimes I
so
forget names,
next you
that's
might say
how it is.
I've created a privilege issue with regards to that. Yeah, just like
You
just
can
like
go
you have
file
a
a
problem with
privilege
many
motion
other
if you
things.
think
Like,
that is
like he's
offensive.
quoting
Okay,
two facts,
let's
two
She
move
doesn't
on.
find it
facts.
offensive that
move on,
Parliament
guys,
is no
guys,
longer
come on,
functional.
guys,
She doesn't find
Let
it
me
offensive
just-
somebody demanded
let
foreign
me just
intervention.
give
Why
you-
call a
guys,
Madam
Let
Parliamentarian?
me
She's
just-
threatening you
let
with a
me
privilege
just
motion.
give you-
Shehzad,
I mean, this is the height of entitlement.
Let's move on.
Heights
I
of
didn't say
Let's move on.
privilege
Let's move
motion.
on.
What
Ma'am-
privilege motion are you talking about? Are you? Do you listen?
Ma'am, make your
All I
substantive
said
point.
is, then
please,
you
yeah.
will accuse me of privilege
Make your substantive point.
or
please.
making
Thank you.
expecting some privilege.
Go on.
Anyway, all I'm saying, my substantive points are just two. He quoted two cases where some BJP leader, ED is taking action against some BJP leaders. Let me just quote you a survey that was recently undertaken where over 330 political cases are being handled by ED, out of which 95% of them happen to be that of the opposition.
Yes.
So if he's quoting some 5% random numbers to justify what is happening, so it's a bit ridiculous, and
Okay.
I think it's comparing apples to oranges and what's happening. That's point one. Point two about SIT and JPC cannot go together. Let me tell you, the Supreme Court probe. Supreme Court probe is limited to ensuring that SEBI's functioning of ensuring regulatory framework is intact. It has nothing to do with crony capitalism. It has nothing to do with the shell companies. It has nothing to do with stock overpricing manipulation.
Okay.
They are checking if it is, the framework is fit enough to be able to handle issues such as these. And last but not the least, I just want to close this by saying, but just saying, oh, SBI invested 1%, exposed 7%, 7% is LIC, and I'm not just reducing it to Adani Enterprises Limited. There's Total, there are many other companies that they are invested in, and it's about 7%. And there are also mutual fund managers which use public money to be able to invest in these companies. Then there is also retail investor who comes at a highly overpriced price of Adani stock, invests his money, and he loses his money. So are you saying this is not public money?
Ma'am, okay.
Are we trying to whitewash something
It's a
which
material difference.
should be
but,
coming
anyway,
under a probe?
Because there is paucity of time, I've got to go to Ajay Kumar, finish the
5
debate.
seconds.
Yeah, 30 seconds,
Okay.
Dr. Ajay Kumar, yeah.
So three simple things. Mr. Sethi, please, sir. CAG did an audit. You don't put up the CAG reports. If you're speaking for the BJP, have the courtesy to tell you're speaking for the BJP. The CAG said on the Adani, the DRI gave a report on Adani under invoicing coal from, which includes Mahindras, which includes the Adani Enterprise for the import of coal and charging the citizens of India. There's a CAG report, no action. DRI under invoicing, no action. So brilliant and all. Secondly, is Bharatiya Janata Party is a washing machine, Nirma, that Hemant Biswa Sarma gets cleared. Hemant Biswa Sarma is all his sins are forgotten. Mukul Roy, all his sins are forgotten. Dubki laga do, saaf ho gaye, kitna bhi paap kar lo. The fourth most important one. I don't understand if you guys get English or not. I believe you're all scholars.
Okay, I am completely out of time.
He said
Completely out of time.
He
Thank
said
you very much,
oblivious.
Dr. Ajay Kumar, Shehzad Poonawala, Priyanka Chaturvedi, and of course Rajat Sethi for joining us. We'll leave it at that. Our only hope as a citizen is that Parliament functions, that, you know, an issue of an apology or whatever it is does not hold Parliament hostage as it has for the last 3 days. We'll see how this plays out over the rest of the week. I'm going to take a quick break. When we come back on the other side, we've got a special interview with Indian-American Congressman. It's an exclusive interview with Ro Khanna. He's been to Taiwan recently. He says it's imminently possible a clash between China and Taiwan, and countries like India will have no choice but to take a position and not remain neutral. He will explain that in that interview right on the other side. He also talks about how he thinks the Russia-Ukraine war will end. All that and more in just a moment. That exclusive interview in just a minute.
At the same time, they have said that this reckless and unprofessional move was being raised with the Russian authorities. Senior officials of USA will engage with the Russian side to know their sides of the story. So there is no sudden or abrupt escalation that is being promoted from the USA side, but we know that the situation is very serious in nature because of the heightened tension over Black Sea. We have seen the last 1 year various major skirmishes happening in Black Sea. In one of them, one of the largest naval assets, Moscow of Russia, was drowned. We know the Black Sea is currently being used for grain export from Russia and Ukraine to the other parts of the world. So these are the times when the world will also not like to see any escalation of tension over Black Sea because of various geopolitical and food crisis region. And we'll have to see from here onwards what explanation or what is the stand of Russia on the whole issue and how to see it further.
Also being joined by our guest, Mr. Pathakrit Payne, who is a security analyst. Mr. Payne, thank you so much for speaking to CNN News 18. What we want to know is what your take is on this entire incident that's unfolding between the United States and Russia over the Black Sea.
First of all, the whole conflict that is going on between Ukraine and Russia, apart from the expansion of NATO, one of the key objectives has always been for Russia to control Black Sea. So whatever is happening now, dominance of the Black Sea is very important because that gives access to Russia to Mediterranean Sea. And number two, a very important point is this: the manner in which the Ukraine-Russia conflict has unfolded over the last 1 year, the manner in which the Western countries led by United States and Western Europe through NATO has been supplying weapons to Ukraine, the manner in which United States have been increasing its surveillance in the Black Sea and other areas, the manner in which U.S. weapon systems are being deployed by Ukraine. Someday or the other, these incidents would have happened. It was inevitable that someday such kind of clash would happen. I don't think it was an accident. It was a warning by Russia that if you cross the limits, there are Rubicons, which if you cross, then there will be consequences, there will be action, and this is the outcome. Now, when you have a Black Sea region where, United States literally has nothing to do in that region, when you have an MQ-9, unmanned vehicle, which has very strong surveillance capacities, and even they are armed to a great extent, when that kind of a thing is moving around in Black Sea in the vicinity of Russia, there would be reaction. Whether the reaction is justified or not, that's another issue. But I think United States would have reacted and would react the very same way if in the coastal areas of United States, Russian drones loiter around. So the reality is this: today, as things happen are unfolding in that region, and the manner in which West keeps on fueling the war, a situation might arise where the conflict would move beyond the contours of Ukraine and Russia and would have a spillover effect either on the seas or in the land area of other European countries, and it would be an apocalypse waiting to happen, which will be beyond the control of United States. So I think it's better they stop it right now, what is happening. Otherwise, 2023 will be a very bad affair when it comes to conflicts of the world.
A United States Reaper drone and 2 Russian Su-27 aircraft were flying in international waters over the Black Sea when, according to the United States military, one of the Russian jets flew in front of and dumped fuel on the unmanned drone. Now, the aircraft then reportedly hit the propeller of the drone, prompting U.S. forces to bring down the MQ-9 drone down in international waters, that is the Black Sea, remember. Now, the collision took place shortly after 7 a.m. Central European time on Tuesday, which is roughly 11:30 a.m. India time. Now, the incident marks the first time that Russian and U.S. military aircraft have come into direct physical contact since Russia launched its invasion of Ukraine just over a year ago, and is likely to increase tensions between the two nations.
What we saw.
It's almost like a ticking clock, this possibly imminent clash between China and Taiwan. China, of course, has incorporated in its constitution that it has to acquiesce Taiwan by any means possible, even if it means by forceful means. The United States, the biggest superpower in the world, has said that that is an absolute red line. Joining me now is an Indian-American congressman, someone who has recently been to Taiwan and who knows a thing or two about what's going on in this part of the world. Ro Khanna is a U.S. congressman. Thank you very much, sir, for speaking with us here on CNN News 18. I want to start with the most pressing clash that's happening in the world right now and which has divided the entire world, which is Russia-Ukraine. I want your assessment of where the war stands right now. Do you see any road to peace as of today?
Well, first of all, the world of democracies, nations of democracy, should clearly condemn Putin's unprovoked invasion of Ukraine. I mean, there's no moral equivalence between Ukraine and Russia. Putin basically invaded a sovereign country. And my understanding is India has condemned Putin's invasion. Even China has criticized Putin's invasion. The United States has stood up for Ukraine's sovereignty. And Putin needs to recognize that he can't invade a sovereign nation, and there should be a diplomatic solution that preserves Ukraine's sovereignty. And I hope countries like India and others that historically have had relationships with Russia can push Russia to understand that.
Congressman Khanna, in your view, what would a peaceful resolution, or at least a move towards some kind of a ceasefire, look like in Ukraine right now?
Well, I think the President Biden's position has been that we will support Ukraine's sovereignty. I mean, right now you have Russia launching hypersonic missiles against civilians. You have brutality in what's going on. We have to come to Ukraine's defense, but then there needs to be at the same time talks and engagement to have a just peace, and it's for Ukraine ultimately to decide what that looks like, and we will support Ukraine in that effort. I do think that countries like India can play a facilitating role in helping us get to a just peace.
Now, we've had some recent warnings from administration officials, including Secretary Blinken, who says that the U.S. is extremely concerned about China providing lethal aid to Russia. What is your assessment? Is there something that the world should be worried about? China is doing a lot of things in favor of Russia, but would giving it lethal aid, giving it military equipment, would that be crossing a red line in your view?
I hope China doesn't do it. So far, at least, there's no evidence that they concretely have. And that would just escalate the conflict. It would entangle more great powers into the conflict. The hope for the world is that this conflict end, and I hope China will play a role persuading Russia not to invade Ukraine's territorial sovereignty.
Congressman, do you believe that this war has further accentuated the two camps, as it were? You have the United States and its European allies on the one side, And then you have in the other camp, Russia and China. Is this, as many people are calling it, the new Cold War?
Well, Russia and China for the past 10 years have had close relationships. I mean, Xi Jinping has met Putin over 30 times. He often describes Putin as one of his closest partners and friends. So that relationship was already there. I think that this has strengthened the United States' relationship with NATO. Ironically, Putin has actually ended up strengthening NATO. And my hope is that India will emerge as a strong ally of the United States. I'm the co-chair of the India-U.S. caucus, and we'll be working to strengthen the U.S.-India relationship. India is going to be a key player in the 21st century in defining the democratic world.
So just this past week, we've had the Chinese Communist Party in its annual parliamentary session giving its stamp of approval for a historic third term, an unprecedented third term for Xi Jinping. What is your assessment of where US-China ties stand as of right now?
They're tense. I mean, we need to rebalance production to bring jobs back to America that left to China. We need to make sure that we provide Taiwan with sufficient defense to deter any military invasion while affirming the one China policy. We need to make sure that it's clear to the China that they can't have surveillance over the United States. So it's tense, but it shouldn't devolve into a Cold War.
But do you believe that this might actually be the start of a new Cold War? I think the person who came up with that was Gideon Rockman, the FT columnist on foreign policy. But a lot of people have been agreeing with this view that if the original Cold War was between the United States and the Soviet Union, now the new Cold War could be the US, its European allies, and Russia and China on the other hand. Is this a new Cold War according to you?
No, I think that is avoidable if we rebalance our production, if we bring manufacturing back here, if China recognizes it's in its own interest to diversify its economy, to focus on services and domestic production, and if China recognizes that they should not depart from the status quo when it comes to Taiwan.
You were in Taiwan a few weeks ago. What are your impressions of what is happening in that country? What's going on between Taiwan and China? Because some are saying that if it actually came down to it, China would annex Taiwan even by force.
Well, I was very impressed. I met with the president, President Tsai, and they're focused on increasing their defense, which makes a lot of sense. They've increased the conscription from 4 months to a year for every Taiwanese 18-year-old, and they want the United States to expedite our defense to them.
Do you believe an armed conflict is possible between China and Taiwan, given that, they've now incorporated this in the Chinese constitution about the reunification of Taiwan with the mainland, even if by force?
I think it's avoidable. It's avoidable if we build up Taiwan's defense, but more importantly, if we continue the lines of communication with China, which all parties in Taiwan wanted to do. They said they have lived with communist China for over 30 years. They know the ups and downs. They know how to manage it. And American politicians shouldn't get ahead of our skis. We shouldn't be pushing for things that Taiwanese politicians don't. As I understood Taiwan leaders, they want to build their defense, but they also want engagement still with China. They don't want a departure from the status quo. And if we affirm that, I think a war can be avoided.
What do you make of the fact about the recent local elections in Taiwan in which the KMT, which is the party that's known to be closer to Beijing or soft on Beijing, they won many of these recent local elections, and there is every possibility that this party could win the general elections in Taiwan, which are due next year. Could that reduce the possibility of some kind of armed conflict between China and Taiwan?
Well, I met with the chair of the KMT, and I do think KMT and the DPP both believe actually in increasing Taiwan's defense. They both believe in engagement. You may actually see a convergence as we head to the presidential election. But the parties recognize, well, 40% of Taiwan's exports are to mainland China. A lot of their business is tied, like Foxconn, to mainland China. I don't believe the Taiwanese want war. They want to have a peace, and they believe over the next 30, 40 years, maybe everyone can become democratic. So I think we can avoid war in that region.
I want to talk to you a little bit about what you see or how you envisage the role of India, particularly after the pandemic. Companies around the world, including the big ones, Apple and others, manufacturing companies, are looking at a policy of China plus one. Do you believe that India can be that plus one?
Well, I believe that when it comes to the Asian base for manufacturing, India can be a significant player there. And it's going to be a challenge. I mean, we already see Foxconn making a big investment in India. Of course, geographically, Vietnam is closer to the China supply chain, so India is going to have to build out the supply chain. They're going to have to streamline some of the local regulations and assure foreign investors that it's a good and safe place, an easy place to invest. But there is that prospect for India to build its manufacturing capability, and that also will help it in terms of not being as dependent on Russian arms if it builds its own defense manufacturing capability.
How do you see India's role in the emerging geopolitics, particularly in the context of the Russia-Ukraine war? We have the G20 summit that India is hosting this year. Do you believe that because of its unique relationship, both with the United States and with Russia, India could do something to help solve this problem, this conflict?
I think India could. I mean, I'm disappointed India still buys so much oil from Russia. I wish that we could come to some agreement that they get compensated from Europe, from the United States, and getting alternative sources. But I'm hopeful that India can play a role in bringing a just peace, especially given India's historic relationship with Russia. And I think they're poised to be a mediator, a facilitator. Israel as well, given Israel's historic relationship with Russia. Some of these countries may be better poised to ultimately bring a just peace because they are seen as having relationships with Putin.
And finally, do you believe this war has sort of split the entire international community down the middle? The way it's being viewed from Washington or London or Kiev is very, very different from how it's being viewed in a New Delhi or a Tel Aviv or a Dubai, leave alone how it's being viewed in Beijing and in Moscow.
I think there's a consensus that what Putin did is wrong, that Putin's invasion in Ukraine was a violation of territorial sovereignty. And I think India understands that best. I mean, India doesn't like it when China violates the line of control in Arunachal Pradesh. Any nation that is non-expansionist, India has been a non-expansionist nation, should respect sovereignty. And the last thing you want is great powers running roughshod, taking land. I think the question then is, how do you have a just peace? And there are differences of opinion. And how do you make sure that the Russian economy is not facilitating this war? And of course, that's where there's been disagreements with the United States. But my hope is that India ultimately will be part of the solution in having Russia recognize that they can't take Ukraine's sovereignty and having a just peace.
All right. Congressman Ro Khanna, thank you very much for speaking with us here on CNN News 18. Appreciate your time. Thank you. All right. That was that exclusive interview with United States Congressman, Indian-American Ro Khanna, talking about the Russia-Ukraine war, the China-Taiwan conflict, potentially, which could even be militarized, and of course, how he sees India's role in all of these emerging dynamics in the geopolitical situation of the world. That's a wrap. Thank you very much for your time. Good night.
Because USA had acknowledged the fact that Russian planes were behind the drowning of US MQ-9 unmanned aerial surveillance aircraft. At the same time, they have said that this reckless and unprofessional move was being raised with the Russian authorities. Senior officials of USA will engage with the Russian side to know their sides of the story. So there is no sudden or abrupt escalation that is being promoted from the USA side, but we know that the situation is very serious in nature because of the heightened tension over Black Sea. We have seen the last 1 year various major skirmishes happening in Black Sea. In one of them, one of the largest naval assets, Moscow of Russia, was drowned. We know the Black Sea is currently being used for grain export from Russia and Ukraine to the other parts of the world. So these are the times when the world will also not like to see any escalation of tension over Black Sea because of various geopolitical and food crisis region. And we'll have to see from here onwards what explanation or what is the stand of Russia on the whole issue and how to see it further.
Also being joined by our guest, Mr. Pathikrit Payne, who is a security analyst. Mr. Payne, thank you so much for speaking to CNN News 18. What we want to know is what your take is on this entire incident that's unfolding between the United States and Russia over the Black Sea.
First of all, the whole conflict that is going on between Ukraine and Russia, apart from the expansion of NATO, one of the key objectives has always been for Russia to control Black Sea. So whatever is happening now, dominance of the Black Sea is very important because that gives access to Russia to Mediterranean Sea. And number two, a very important point is this: the manner in which the Ukraine-Russia conflict has unfolded over the last 1 year, the manner in which the Western countries led by United States and Western Europe through NATO has been supplying weapons to Ukraine, the manner in which United States have been increasing its surveillance in the Black Sea and other areas, the manner in which U.S. weapon systems are being deployed by Ukraine. Someday or the other, these incidents would have happened. It was inevitable that someday such kind of clash would happen. I don't think it was an accident. It was a warning by Russia that if you...
Hello, Namaskar. This is First Post and you're watching Vantage with me, Palki Sharma. Our lead tonight is that face-off in the Black Sea. The US and Russia are dangerously close to an armed conflict. An American drone crashed. It was brought down by 2 Russian jets. They were trying to intercept the drone. And this is a direct result of the escalating conflict in Ukraine. So far, Washington and Moscow were careful. They were avoiding a direct military confrontation, but in the last 24 hours, they seem to have crossed that threshold too. Ukraine's assessment is clear. It says the Kremlin wants to raise the stakes and Putin wants to expand the conflict. Is that where we're headed? We'll discuss that. Also, the big headline from Australia, another provocation for India. Khalistani groups have forced